Hi, sweet souls. So today I have the pleasure of interviewing Georgie. So Georgie channels Inkebeka, and today we're going to get all of her thoughts and opinions and feelings about them and also the process of channeling. So I'm really excited to hear your side of the story, Georgie. So maybe if you just start by giving a little bit of an introduction about you. Who is Georgie?
Sure. I live currently in Cape Town, South Africa. I have a bit of a confusing accent because I grew up in Perth, Western Australia, and I fell in love with Cape Town, so I've moved here to stay permanently. I've always been very interested in the spiritual realm and meditation and finding the truth of life, if there is such a thing, and tried to stay very open-minded, even though I had a religious upbringing.
Right.
And yeah, I'm very outgoing, so I enjoy seeing friends and dancing and hula hooping and theatre.
Gotta put that hula hooping in there.
It's my new hobby.
And I can see a guitar in the background.
Yes, just trying to learn starting guitar, so that's nice. Yeah, I love music and singing, and I guess I'm more of a creative type person than a, logical, left brain type.
I love that. So in terms of how Inkebeka, the non-physical beings, came about, have you always been able to channel them? Did it happen spontaneously? What happened there, let's say?
Well, I would say if I start just going back to when I was 17, that's when I had a bit of a dark soul of the night, or whatever you want to call it, when I was really searching, because Christianity didn't make sense to me, the religion I was brought up in. And I wanted to be super open-minded and look at all the religions and all the spiritualities. So I went a little bit crazy reading everything, and I was hypnotized at that time. And I came across books that were channeled work. So they were from non-physical beings. People had put their wisdom into written form. And these books are quite intense and deep. And as I read them, I had a little bit of fear in me, but it also made so much sense what they were saying about the nature of reality. And I knew there was so much truth to this that I couldn't ignore it, even though it felt a little bit because of my upbringing.
And so young. 17 is young too to be exploring this stuff. Well, I feel it.
Yeah. I'm sure while everyone was getting drunk or having fun, I was sitting there reading these heavy books. Yeah. But yeah, I put it all on a shelf then. Like I sort of done my searching. I'd been hypnotized to past lives. I'd realized that I do believe in reincarnation. I do believe that life goes on. And through my experiential meditations and processes, I realized the eternal nature of our soul.
Yeah.
So I felt like I'd found my answers. Not that I knew everything, obviously. I don't mean that at all.
No, just does.
No. I just meant I'd found a peace within me. I wasn't scared of death anymore. I felt that, yeah, I'd quenched my thirst, so to say, in finding the answers to what I wanted to know.
Yeah. And how hard was that for you at 17 to own that? Did you feel like it was quite an internal sort of realization? Did you share it with people around you?
I tried a bit with my dad. I think it was a bit horrifying. I'm like, Dad, in a past life, you did this with me. And he was like, oh, this is a bit too weird for me.
Yeah.
And I would question my friends, like, don't you care what happens when we die? And they're like, no. So yeah, I gave up a bit, I think, when I realized that people were not quite on the same journey at that time.
Yeah. I feel like everyone kind of does that as well. Like, I found out all this information, take it. It doesn't always work like that.
I did feel a little bit alone, but I've also got used to that because this work is different from mainstream, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a smaller portion of society interested.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, sorry, should I skip to the answer of your actual question?
Yeah.
I was just trying to give a little bit of
it's fascinating. I think it's it's fascinating. It's good to kind of understand where you came from, and at such a young age to be exploring this stuff and kind of standing on your own and believing in that. I think it's really powerful to hear.
Oh, well, thank you. It didn't feel like it at the time, but looking back, it is, it was really nice. Yeah. And to find meditation so early too, I think is really special.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. So basically, I never expected to be a channel myself. And I was sitting in a hard lockdown here in South Africa. So for 5 weeks, we weren't allowed to go anywhere except for the shops once a week. And I just moved into a flat by myself. And I was sitting on the couch. And I felt like what I think is best to describe as a little knocking on my brain, a little knock, knock. That sort of sensation is the only thing I can liken it to.
Was it a sensation? So was it like a feeling or? Or just a
kind of in between. It was like something was there. Like it wasn't like a banging on my head, but it was definitely a sort of little bit of a sensation. Like it was very persistent. I remember thinking, sure, I've just been spending too much time alone. I need to see people. Like I'm going a bit nutty.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, I was like, okay, I can't ignore it forever. It feels like it's going to persist. It was just like a knowing that I need to figure out what is happening. And funnily enough, a really good friend of mine called Lavanya, she lives just a road up the street from me. And she had just been watching Gaia. It's a spiritual channel. And on this, there was a man interviewing people who channeled non-physical beings.
Everything happens for a reason, guys. Everything happens for a reason.
What a coincidence, because she'd never watched that before.
Yeah.
And
crazy.
Yeah. She was trying to get me to watch it, but I was like, I know what channeling is. Can I, go back to my other TV shows, kind of thing. But I did ring her because I was like, no, I think she'll be able to, she'll believe me, first of all.
Yeah.
And second of all, we can sort of talk about what to do with the situation. Yeah. And sorry.
What did you do?
So she got very excited, much more than me. She's like, ask them questions. And then she gave some questions, which I didn't write down or anything. I just had the phone on me. So I hung up the phone and I pressed record. I don't know why. I guess it was just a feeling like I want to record this to see what happens. So I pressed record and I shut my eyes, and just this being just spoke rapidly through my mouth, and it was the most incredible experience.
Yeah.
hearing words coming out of your mouth that you haven't tried to form. You've had no
No
part
control.
of the process. Yeah, there's no forewarning what they'll say, because
Okay.
if you think about it, when we talk, we can stop anytime,
Yes.
like because we are doing it. But this was just like a stream of consciousness that I guess I could have shut my mouth to stop it, but I didn't have a control over what the words were or what the message was. So that blew my mind.
How did it feel? Did it feel different in your body? Were you like, okay, something's here, the energy's different?
Definitely. It wasn't like a massive leap. It felt very natural, but it definitely wasn't me. It felt like a strong, assertive presence, the kind of confidence I wish I had. Like, I am here. This is my message. This is what I want to say. Whew, okay. Wow. That kind of energy. Yeah.
Okay, that's beautiful. And then what was the next process? So you've recorded it, these beings are speaking through you.
What was they said things about my friend Lavanya that I didn't know.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
That things were on her mind that she hadn't yet discussed with me. Yeah. So when I sent her the voice note, she was like, whoa, this is insane. You were definitely channeling something like a psychic being, because we hadn't had those conversations. Wow. Yeah, so she rang with my other good friend, Lynn. They were housemates at the time. And Lynn said, "Who are you?" I remember thinking, I don't know anymore. I've lost the plot.
That's a good question.
Yeah. So basically they asked questions. We, from then on, we just explored. I told, obviously, you the next day, and then Lynn and Lev, and you three were the only ones. And Lynn and Lavanya asked Inkebeka lots and lots and lots of questions to try and work out who they were, why they're here. And I have to be honest, for months, I kept thinking I was making stuff up. It didn't feel real. It felt like a dream.
Yeah, of course.
But then we'd record things and I'd listen to it back, and I could never be that eloquent. I could never, explain the nature of reality in such a succinct manner that they managed to do it. So it did dawn on me that it's not me. I don't have this wisdom. Yeah. And yeah, it was just really, really lovely to let them in more and more, even though for months I didn't want people to know, because I didn't want to be the weird one, or be put in a certain box before people got to know me. Like, channel spirits is a bit weird. Yeah.
And are you finding kind of as time goes on it gets easier, or it's kind of the process has always been quite easy for you because it's not you talking?
Yeah, I would say at the beginning they spoke very, very rapidly, and in a much deeper voice that actually sort of hurt my throat a bit, because it wasn't, my vocal cords are slightly higher than what they were using. When I talk naturally, it's a bit higher.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's become a lot easier because they've slowed down in their conversations. They sound like me now. And I trust them more. I feel like, the three of us, including you and them as the third, have become friends. And it's like a lovely group now, and I'm realizing they're really wanting the best for humanity, and they don't actually have to be here at this time. There's nothing in it for them.
Yeah.
So they're doing it out of love to help humans and help us work out this duality.
Yeah.
So I'd say it's become easier. It's now so natural to me that, you know, when I meet new people and they hear and there's the weirdness that they feel, I forget. I'm like, oh, I forget that this is still weird for people. Because for me, it's just so natural.
That's really beautiful to hear. That's really nice.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's such a lovely story. I know from my side, I've heard it before, but it still just gets me. It touches my heart each time because it's just wonderful. It's just such a beautiful story. I think it would be quite nice to end on for our viewers, because you've been, Inkebeka have been coming through you for a few years now, worked with many clients. What's the main, if there is one, I'm going to try and limit you to one, but if there's kind of one main piece of wisdom or advice or area of your life that they've helped you on the most, what would that be?
Wow. That's
I know, I've limited you a lot.
Wow, because they've changed my reality and how I see reality. Wow. So that's very tricky, unless I can use that as
you can. Absolutely. No, you can use that. So
they've explained energy to a point where because I'm a very intuitive empath. My whole life I've been extremely sensitive, and I haven't known how to deal with that. Someone else's emotions are mine instantly when I meet someone. And I guess I haven't had a way to deal with that or to switch my reality to realize that I'm a separate being. I don't need to feel those emotions, which I know probably sounds so normal to everyone else. They're like, what are you talking about?
I feel you as a fellow empath. I feel you too. Yeah. It makes
to me, it was revolutionary. Oh, they have their own journey. I really don't have to be involved unless, they request it or there's some kind of communication about it. I don't have to naturally take it full on.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's just mentally and physically and emotionally and spiritually freed me up completely.
That's really beautiful. Well, thank you, Georgie, for sharing your wonderful story. Beautiful to hear. Very eloquently, without the being.
Thank you, Kate. Lovely chatting to you.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Bye.